Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wrecked there, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
Okay. That'll be fine. Before we start, I'll give you the results of the election. Remember when they went? Here we go. Moderator, Paul Robitaille, 290. Thank you. I don't really know if I should be thanking you. Select person, Robert Gargano, 190. Yves O'Neill, 142. Robert Gargano is the winner. Town clerk, Karen Bullock, 276. Supervisor of the checklist, Jessica Ross, 295. Trustee of the trust funds, Leanne LaPointe, 294. Library trustee, Victoria Hill, 294. Water and Sewer Commission, vote for not more than one. John McEachin, 100. Ted Miller, 202. Budget Committee member, Elaine Ryder, 286. There are, vote for 3 for that. There are write-ins for that. And we will contact the people and see if they wish to serve. So that will be announced at a later date. Budget Committee member for 1 year, Donald LePass, 283. Planning Board members for 3 years, it was 2, only 1 ran, Earl McGillicuddy, 285. There was some write-ins for that, and we will check for that out. Gorham Regional School District Cooperative School District election, Gorham school members. Vote for not more than 2. Victoria Hill, 264. Dennis Way, 247. No one ran for Gorham for, there are write-ins for the moderator. Those will be tabulated, those people will be contacted to see if they wish to serve. Okay. Zoning articles. Article 2, are you in favor? Article 2 passed 259 to 75. Article 3 also passed 217 to 180. And that's the results of the elections I have to know. Okay. We've already begun. There is a huge crowd tonight. I I understand some of you have not gotten all the ballots. We have run out of ballots. The clerks are busy trying to put those together. There's an article coming up that you haven't got a ballot for, please see the town clerk, and she will have those ready for you by then. Okay? Now, first, one thing I want to say is that we have a huge crowd tonight. We have a lot of work to do. So I'm hoping people can keep their comments short and they can reply to each other so that we can get all of this work done as soon as possible. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to modify the elderly exemptions from property tax in the town of Gorham based on assessed value for qualified taxpayers to be as follows. For a person 65 to 74 years of age, $25,000. For a person 75 to 79 years of age, $50,000. For persons 80 years of age or older, $100,000. To qualify, the person must have been a New Hampshire resident for at least 3 consecutive years, own the real estate individually or jointly, or if the real estate is owned by such a person's spouse, they must have been married for at least 5 consecutive years. In addition, the taxpayer must have net income from all sources not more than $28,700 for single, or if married, combined net income of $36,700, and own assets not in excess of $50,000, excluding the value of the person's residence in the land upon which it is located up to 2 acres. RSA 72:39. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. A majority vote is required.
So moved. To accept.
And please, one thing I'm going to ask you because of the crowd, that if you second motion and make the motion, please state your names so we can have it for the record. Okay, so Brian and Bruce, you made the motion. And who made the second? Marie made the second. Okay. Discussion. Does anyone want to speak to this article? Okay. Seeing no discussion, then I will call for the vote. All those in favor of Article 4, raise your cards. All those against Article 4, raise your cards. Well, that looks pretty unanimous. The motion is passed. To see if the town will vote, Article 5. To see if the town will vote to modify the disabled exemption from property tax in the town of Gorham based on assessed value for qualified taxpayers to be $25,000. The exemption may be applied only to property which is occupied as the principal place of abode by the disabled person. The exemption may be applied to any land or buildings, I gotta read that one again, to the residence or to manufactured housing, if that is the principal place of abode. Nothing in this section shall preclude a qualified applicant from earning an income. The exemption applies to any person who is eligible under Title II or Title 16 of the Federal Social Security Act for benefits to the disabled. To qualify, the applicant must have been a New Hampshire resident for at least 5 years, own the real estate individually or jointly, or if the real estate is owned by such a person's spouse. They must have been married for at least 5 consecutive years. In addition, the taxpayer must have a net income from all sources of not more than $28,700 for single or married combined net income of $36,700 and own assets not in excess of $50,000, excluding the value of a person's actual residence in the land upon which is located up to 2 acres. This is regarding RSA 72:37, recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0, majority vote required. Discussion. Oh, I need a motion.
So moved. Mr.
Second.
Moderator.
Motion by Bruce, second by Bronson. Discussion. Questions? Okay. Seeing no discussions or questions, I will call for the vote on Article 5. Raise your cards if you are in favor. Okay. Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, the motion passes. Article 6. To see if the Gorham Water and Sewer Department customers will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2 million and no cents for the purpose of all work needed to identify, engineer, purchase materials, and replace water system services to comply with the federal lead and copper rule. Such sum to be raised by the New Hampshire DWSRF loan drinking water state revolving fund and/or eligible grants not to exceed $2 million under and in compliance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, NHRSA 33:1 ET-SEQ. As amended, and to authorize the Gorham Water and Sewer Department to issue and negotiate such loans or grants and determine the date, term of payment, and rate of interest thereon. Further, to take such actions may be necessary to effect the issuance, negotiation, sale, and delivery of such loans or grants as shall be in the best interest of Gorham Water and Sewer Department and their customers, and to further authorize the Gorham Water and Sewer Department to apply for, accept, and expand unanticipated money from the state, federal, or other governmental unit or a private source that becomes available pursuant to RSA 31:95-B for the same or similar purposes of this article. It is anticipated and not guaranteed that the Gorham Water and Sewer Department will receive up to 71% in principal forgiveness from the state revolving fund loan program. Principal interest payments will be covered by the structured rates set by the Water and Sewer Commission. It will not affect general taxation. A 3/5 ballot vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Before I go on with this, I want to remind you something I forgot to tell you, is that I have appointed Lee Carroll as my deputy moderator. So from time to time, I will be looking to him for guidance, and I expect him to jump in when he thinks it's necessary. So, that is. So
moved the article.
I have moved a motion by Lee, seconded by Bruce Larry. Do you want it, does the Water and Sewer Commission wish to speak? Yeah, I'll speak. Okay. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so yours.
Okay, basically, this is a request due to a federal mandate. And the commissioners have been working, trying to get this lined up for the best part of 9 months now. If you approve this, we are going to be applying for the $2 million, which if we get the 71% forgiveness, will result in a $580,000 actual borrowing by the department. We'll be acquiring a 15-year loan, we hope, with the state, at a rate of about 2.88%. We start paying the loan a year after completion, unless they change the rules. And mandate states we'll have until 2037 to complete all this work. We're hoping to complete it much before that. If approved, 71% forgiveness would result in a $39,781 per year loan payment. If 71% was not received, it would result in a $137,174 per year loan payment. The difference between receipt and forgiveness of not is $97,393 per year. Regardless of whether you approve it, ultimately, we're going to have to do the work by federal mandate. So we're hoping right now, while we have fairly good assurance from the state that we'll get 71% forgiveness, that you people will approve this article tonight and not have to have this go forward another year, lose a year in the deadline to complete. And we know from talking with the state that the forgiveness rate will be down to at least 65 or 60% next year. They're not sure what money they'll have. It's going to depend on how many communities come in and ask for the money this year. So it could become something that would cost us a lot more out of pocket, not getting the grant money for it. We think this will help to lessen the burden on the ratepayers. What we'd like to do, and I've talked to the moderator on this, Articles 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all articles that require a ballot vote. What we'd like to do is present each of those to you individually for discussion, presentation, have the motions on the floor, and after you have all agreed to the motions on the floor, proceed and have one-hour ballot session to vote on all those articles at once. You have paper ballots for those, I hope. There are 5 different ballot boxes over there, each one marked with an article number and what it's for. If we don't do it that way, then there's a 1-hour period on each article as it's voted. So we'd like to not be here for 5 hours on this.
Do you need a motion to combine?
I don't believe so, unless somebody wants to take exception, I think it's acceptable.
You can get the microphone.
Can you hear me? Did you miss something that you want me to repeat, please? Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm back to you.
Okay. All right, if there's no opposition to do that, then I will read the next articles, and then I will open up the voting after that, if there's no other discussion. But I will ask for discussion after each article is read. Article 6, the seat, this,
7.
oh, 7. Well, I've been having so much. Article 7, to see if the Gorham Water and Sewer Department customers will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,900,000 and no cents for the purpose of engineering, purchasing, and construction of new sludge dewatering equipment at the wastewater treatment facility located at 6 Main Street. Such sum to be raised by the New Hampshire CWSRF loan, Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and/or eligible grants not to exceed $1,900,000 under and in compliance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, New Hampshire RSA 33:1, et sequence, as amended, and to authorize the Gorham Water and Sewer Department to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and to determine the date. Water and sewer, the date, term of payment, and rate of interest thereon shall be in the best interest of the Gorham Water and Sewer Department and their customers, and to further authorize Gorham Water and Sewer Department to apply for, accept, and expend unanticipated money from the state, federal, or other governmental unit, or a private source that becomes available pursuant to RSA 31:95B for the same or similar purposes of this article. It is anticipated, but not guaranteed, that the Gorham Water and Sewer Department will receive up to 20% in principal forgiveness from the state revolving fund loan program. Principal and interest payments will be covered by the structured rates set by the Water and Sewer Commission. It will not affect general taxation. A 3/5 ballot is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Does anyone have any questions on Article 7?
I move we accept Article
Mr. Moderator, make sure you talk directly into the mic, because the people out back can't really hear you.
Okay. This is the microphone, right here.
The guy talking in the crowd, couldn't hear him.
Oh, I just moved the article to be accepted.
Okay. The article is moved by Bruce and it is seconded by Bronson. Any discussion?
Lee seconded it.
Oh, Lee seconded, okay.
I'll take credit for
All
it.
right. Does anyone have any questions of the Water and Sewer Commissioner? I guess not. Okay, then I'll proceed to Article 8. Article 8, to see if the Gorham Water and Sewer Department customers will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 and no cents for the purpose of planning the Tinker Brook Pump Station upgrade located in Cascade Flats. Such sum to be raised by the New Hampshire CWSRF Loan, Clean Water and State Revolving Fund, and/or eligible grants not to exceed $50,000 under and in compliance with provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, New Hampshire, RSA 33:1, as amended, and to authorize the Gorham Water and Sewer Department to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes, and to determine the date, term of payment, and rate of interest thereupon, as shall be in the next best interest of the Gorham Water and Sewer Department and their customers. And to further authorize the Gorham Water and Sewer Department to apply for, accept, and expand unanticipated money from the state, federal, or other governmental unit, or a private source that becomes available pursuant to RSA 31:95B for the same or similar purposes of this article. It is anticipated but not guaranteed that the Gorham Water and Sewer Department will receive up to 100% principal forgiveness from the state revolving fund loan program. Principal and interest payments will be covered by the structured rates set by the Water and Sewer Commission. It will not affect general taxation. A 3/5 ballot vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Any?
Second.
Motion by Lee, seconded by Bruce. Is there any discussion or questions? Seeing none, then I move on to Article 9. To see if the Gorham Water and Sewer Department customers will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $33,150 and no cents for the purpose of planning the headworks room upgrade at the wastewater treatment facility. Well, that was a mistake. Wastewater treatment facility located at 6 Main Street. Such sum to be raised by the New Hampshire CWSRF Loan, Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and/or eligible grants not to exceed $33,150 under and in compliance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, as amended, and to authorize the Gorham Water and Sewer Department to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and determine the date, term of payment, and rate of interest thereupon, as shall be in the best interest of the Gorham Water and Sewer Department and their customers. And to further authorize the Gorham Water and Sewer Department to apply for, accept, and expand unanticipated money from the state, federal, or other governmental unit, or a private source that becomes available pursuant to RSA 31:95B for the same or similar purposes of this article. It is anticipated but not guaranteed that the Gorham Water and Sewer Department will receive up to 100% principal forgiveness from the state revolving fund loan program. Principal and interest rates will be covered by the structured rates set by the Water and Sewer Commission. It will not affect general taxation. A 3/5 ballot is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, recommended by the budget committee by a vote of 7-0.
So moved.
A motion by Bruce and Lee that the motion be passed. Any questions or discussion? Seeing no questions at all, I will move on to Article 10. To see if the Gorham Water and Sewer Department customers will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $35,000 in no cents for the purpose of planning a new sludge dewatering equipment at the wastewater treatment facility located at 6 Main Street. Such sum to be raised by the New Hampshire CWSRF loan Clean Water State Revolving Fund and/or eligible grants not to exceed $35,000 under and in compliance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, New Hampshire RSA 33:1, as amended, and to authorize the Gorham Water and Sewer Department to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and determine the date, term of payment, and rate of interest thereon shall be in the best interest of Gorham Water and Sewer Department and their customers. And to further authorize the Gorham Water and Sewer Department to apply for, accept, and expand unanticipated money from the state, federal, or other governmental unit or a private source that becomes available to pursuant RSA 31:95B for the same or similar purposes of this article. It is anticipated but not guaranteed that the Gorham Water and Sewer Department will receive up to 100% principal forgiveness from the state revolving fund loan program. Principal and interest payments will be covered by the structured rates set by the Water and Sewer Commission. It will not affect general taxation. A 3/5 ballot vote recommended by the Board of Selectmen, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bruce, seconded by Lee. Discussion or questions?
On any of them.
Okay, seeing there being no questions or discussions, I will move on to Article 11.
Let's vote.
Gonna vote on these.
Ask if they're ready for the vote.
Okay? Okay, I see where everybody's sitting. All right. Are you ready for the vote?
Yes.
All right. So this will be paper ballot. You're voting on Articles
6, 7.
6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Please put those in the appropriate boxes. I will open the voting now. The ballot boxes will open for an hour.
This isn't even my first one. I was told that I had to.
This is the way I did it.
Hello, I didn't even.
Cindy's good.
I worked a year in college. I loved my job there, but they upped my days. And I said, I'm tired. I don't want 3 days. And they would take it. You're not cutting them. I know, Are you in the boat? Shake those hips. Shake those hips.
Nathan, if you break that coming out of your paycheck. What? You break those comes out of your paycheck. They're mine.
I've been told there's such a thing. And she's like, what?
Oh, yes. So stressed about this.
I know. I keep watching it like everyone is like live by.
What do you think?
I might cry a lot. What if they do that?
I might get a squeeze somewhere.
I can't believe I got I don't know if this sticks. What was my question too? This is fun. I have to work it. I gotta get up at 5 tomorrow though, so.
Not quite as early as you though.
I like the paper ballots. I
I know.
Oh, not the paper.
I'm unfortunately that's state statute. You have to do this.
Oh, but this, it seems like you need to get this done.
I mean that's a lot. Yeah.
With the application, they all go to the Coca-Cola champagne.
We're not quite halfway
Yeah. I feel like if you look here, you can see it. Yeah, coming up the car.
Johnson? Nervously watching you walk past those apples.
I'm telling you, that's what throws me, and this was years ago. Years ago. And Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Cassandra. That's just a school board.
They have so many pictures and videos of you. Oh my goodness, they're so proud. They're so proud.
You aren't part of the kitchen cabinet? You aren't
And
part
I
of
see
the hospital?
No, I'm not. I'll just sit here and relax, like this. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I don't care. Eat today. I don't really have anything to do. I hate you guys.
No, not yet. I have once or twice, but now that the weather's nicer, I've just kind of been busy lately.
But now that the weather's good here, I'll definitely go. I love to walk. Yes, I have. Yeah. I know I saw one running a bit one day. That was part of my work day. Yeah. We like to run.
Yawning, it hasn't even started yet. Ah.
It's not over after it?
Yeah.
Because that's what I heard.
All right, if everyone's ready, it looks like most people have voted, so we'll proceed. The poll is there, and those articles will stay open until 9:21. If I catch my time, I will notify you 5 minutes before the closing time, in case there's anyone in the room who hasn't voted. So I'm going to proceed to Article 11. Article 11. To see if the Gorham Water and Sewer Department customers will vote to authorize the Water and Sewer Commissioners to accept the provisions of RSA 31:95B, provided that any town at an annual meeting may adopt an article authorizing indefinitely until specific rescission of such authority, the Water and Sewer Commissioners to apply for, accept, and expand without further action by the town meeting and unanticipated money from a state, federal, or other government unit or a private source which becomes available during the fiscal year. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Budget Committee recommended 7-0.
So moved.
I have a motion by Bruce and a second by Lee. Questions or discussion? Now is the time if you have any questions about this article.
This might have saved us having to have 3 ballots tonight, if we'd had this authorized before.
Lee, why don't you come and take the mic?
We're not sure what the state was doing when they came up with some of the funding for these other articles we voted on, or voted on. But if we had had this approval prior to this, at least 3 of these planning grant funds might have been able to have been handled without a special ballot vote tonight.
All right. Before I call the vote, I'm going to call one more time. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 11, raise your cards. All those opposed to Article 11, raise your cards. Seeing no one opposed, Article 11 has passed. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $644,427 for the operation of the sewer department. This amount will be offset by user fees and sewer funds. It will not affect general taxation. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0.
Second.
I have a motion by Ted, seconded by Bruce Larry. Any questions or discussions on Article 12? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. Seeing no opposition, Article 12 is passed. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $599,708 for the operation of the water department. This amount will be offset by user fees and water funds. It will not affect general taxation. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Okay, moved by Roger, seconded by Ted. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. I have one opposition. Motion is passed. Article 14. To see if the town is in favor of requiring the town is in favor of requiring the town of Gorham to issue an official request for proposals, an RFP on or before July 2025, inviting qualified external dispatch departments or agencies, e.g. Gorham Police Department, Grafton County Sheriff's Department, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, to submit proposals for providing external dispatch service to the town of Gorham, including any current contractual agreements for dispatch service to Shelburne, Randolph, and Corliss County for unincorporated places for the length of said contracts. And furthermore, to require the town of Gorham to accept the lowest proposal received for external dispatch service that is at least $75,000 less than the proposed 2025 budget of $360,000 for Gorham Police Department's internal dispatch service, not including one-time setup costs related to the change over to external dispatch service, or any cost for personnel in any town of Gorham department, specifically hired for police department office duties. Issuing this request for proposal will not require any additional amount to be raised by taxes per the RFP language. There will be no express or implied obligation for the town of Gorham to reimburse responding departments or agencies for any expenses incurred in preparing proposals in response to the town of Gorham's official request for proposals. By petition, not recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0, not recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 4-0-3. Before I accept a proposal, I am waiting for the town manager to read off a report we got. I guess mine could order, I guess it can't hand it to me.
Ladies.
All right. This letter is from Bouquet Loman, PLLC. They are our lawyers. It is dated February 24th, 2025. It is addressed to Peter Gagnon, town of Gorham, 20 Park Street, Gorham, New Hampshire. Dear Peter, I have reviewed the 2025 warrant articles. I understand that the DRA has also reviewed the articles. In an earlier email, I questioned 2 articles and you responded satisfactorily with answers. Further, the DRA advised you to review the petition warrant article regarding the dispatch agreements with the town's general counsel, and I have done so. The petition warrant article directs the town to issue an RFP inviting qualified external dispatch departments or agencies, e.g. Berlin Police Department, Grafton and Forest County, to submit proposals for external dispatch service to the town, including any current contractual agreements for dispatch to those communities with which the town already has contracts. I understand that the town has already entered into and is providing dispatch services to Randolph, Shelburne, and Forest County on behalf of several unincorporated areas. The contracts are multi-year contracts, and the town meeting cannot interfere with those contracts. Although the board must include the article on the warrant for the town meeting, if it passes, the article is not legally binding. The governing body, the select board, has the authority to enter into contracts and the legislative body. Town meeting cannot change that. See generally Marone versus Town of Hampton, 1-23 and H729, 1983. So I would ask that it's this letter, so even if this passes, it's illegal.
Mr. Moderator, make a motion to pass over based on the attorney's recommendation.
First of all, I disagree, because it hasn't been moved on yet for discussion.
A motion has been made to pass over, which is labeled, and I'll second.
Motion to pass over.
I have a motion on the floor to pass over. Before I accept the vote on this, is there questions or discussion?
Adam White from Gorham. This vote should still be held to direct this board to do something. They refused, I'm sorry, there was 3 of us at the time, to get free dispatch from the town of Lancaster. I'm sorry, State of New Hampshire Highway Department in Lancaster. They refused to even bring it up to discuss it. That's $363,000 this year. If you get a vote that says that overall voters in this community want you to do it, it should still be done. As a matter of direction instead of just forcing stuff down our throat and not listening. That's why I don't want to pass this over.
Mr. Moderator.
Respectfully, Adam, I have no memory of free dispatch at any time. You can laugh if you like, but I would point out that at least in the initial investigation after receiving this article, we found nobody offering free dispatch to the town of Gorham. Quite the contrary, the one quote we got from Grafton was 208,000 to start. And there's a lot of other costs that you say we shouldn't consider. So it's not a legal article, and we can argue it on the floor, but as I said to you at the public hearing, is where in writing or from any source is there free dispatch available that the town turned down? I have no memory of it. Judy? No? Okay.
Before I let Mr.
I wish to answer the question he just brought out.
Before I let you speak out, I want to see if there's anyone else who wants to speak first. Okay, go ahead.
You asked me why I was in writing. When's the last time you brought something up at a board meeting for the board to discuss that was in writing? It doesn't happen, you know that. So it's not in writing. I'll try and make this stop this way. The state of New Hampshire DOT in Lancaster offered all the towns in co-ops free dispatch. All the towns on the other side, except for Randolph, Shelburne, and Gorham, used it all the way as far north as West Stratford, and across the river also. Police, fire, and ambulance. They can't do it anymore because they lost their 24/7 coverage. And, well, and I'm sure, but I'm still gonna say this. We got cost of $209,000, I'm sorry, from the police chief, for, on a phone call, down to dispatch, and they answered it. Don't know what he asked for, but I'm gonna say this. It is in the town reports for the town of Littleton. 6,000 people, okay? 13 police officers the last I knew. I couldn't get it direct out of the book. Full-time fire department and ambulance service full-time, plus taking care of the towns of Sugar Hill, Easton, and Franconia. Their total charge, $180,000.
That is in writing.
And we're not 8,000 people. If you take the 3 towns, best I think it is 3,500. So the way you ask a question makes a difference. So there's been a lot of misinformation put out about this, a lot. And you really ought to listen to what the people are telling you if you get a majority.
Mr. Waddell wishes to speak.
Again, Adam, so all the towns you listed are in Grafton County, and
I started with Lancaster originally, and I got argument on that.
Town of Whitefield is in Coos County, 50,000. It's actually just under.
Adam,
It has nothing to do with county.
Adam, what matters is what Grafton County is willing to do today, not what they were willing to do 10 years ago. They have a long relationship with these other communities.
These other towns all just started in the last 3-4 years. That's the problem. You don't want the information.
Adam, I've asked you for information when you were a selectman, you never produced it. So, you know, yeah, I would have loved to have a $300,000 worth of free dispatch. Never saw that. Never saw it.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator, I would like to address that as well. Mary White,
Very well.
all you had to do, Mike, at that time, because at the time this was raised, those towns in Coos County were receiving free dispatch for police, ambulance, and fire from New Hampshire DOT office, District 1 in Lancaster. They had their own dispatch. They very graciously said, we will give any town in Coos County free dispatch, okay? That's a fact. They had to stop a few years ago because they couldn't get the help. So those towns who had been receiving free dispatch signed up with other external dispatch services. Nobody started their own dispatch. Lancaster didn't, Whitefield didn't. And you want to talk about the current costs? Whitefield for 2025 is budgeting slightly less than $50,000. They have about 120 people less population than Gorham. So I beg to differ with you. It is important for this board to hear what the people want. Whether this article is binding or not is not the issue. It needs to be voted on so you can see how many people want to go and ask external dispatches, such as Grafton County, Carroll County, Berlin PD, how much it would cost. Doing an RFP from the town costs us nothing. Once you get that information, you will know what the cost is. It will all be broken down. And then you will know that this body, if it passes, that's where they want you to go. That's why it's important to continue and not pass over this article. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this?
Brian LeBoy. So, Mike, a couple weeks ago, you said it was gonna be over $200,000. We all thought you were wrong. The chief of police got off, he said it's gonna be a little over 100,000 to start off. There's actually no documentation. The chief of police made a phone call to Grafton County and said, hey, how much is it gonna be? What he got back is one email from a buddy saying it's gonna cost us much. It hasn't been looked into. One email. There's no documentation that he reached out, nothing. It's, hey, I called you, how much is it gonna cost? I sent an email back. Why are we not looking into it? To save money, you three are against this completely, and it's asinine. And I wanna know why.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wants to speak in favor of the article? Down there.
Hi, Cheryl Allen. I'm not so much saying for or against, but I do have a few questions. The multi-year contract, I think we should know how many more years are on it. Is it 1, is it 5? Because if it's only, a year or two, an RFP can take that long to put together and find results. Secondly, I don't understand why it's so bad just to look at it. And the third thing is, I really would like to hear from the chief of police to address what the forces and concerns might be, because I think they have the biggest input.
Okay, remember this is still a motion to pass over, not to approve or not. Okay. Jameen, do you want to speak to this?
Jim Wilhoit, Gorham resident and chief here at Gorham. So I did reach out to Grafton County back in November. I did get an email back from them. He looked into it. He looked at how far our distance was, what type of radio coverage would be required. He did say there would be some issues with radio. There would be upfront costs replacing the radios. And with Gorham, Randolph, Shelburne, and Coos County, it was $208,000, I believe. If you take off the money we're getting in for Randolph and Shelburne and the unincorporated, which is $200,000 this year, by year 5 it'll be $250,000. That brings our budget down way below what Grafton County can offer it. So I didn't even pursue it any further.
Okay, I still have a motion on the floor to pass over. Is there anyone else who wants to speak, or shall I ask for the motion?
I'd like to respond to that.
Exactly.
Go ahead, sir.
So I reached out to a company.
Hey, sir, can you tell us who you
Oh,
are?
I'm sorry, Ryan Malloy. I reached out to companies that actually do radio communications for police departments, fire departments. And what he was told, or what he's saying is we need some repeaters, and it's just essentially a reprogramming on our radio systems. Is that incorrect?
That's correct. And repeaters are not cheap.
Could someone pass the mic to the chief, please?
Yeah, repeaters are hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not something we just programmed, it's something we actually have to get installed. And then we're gonna have to install it in the different communities along the way back to Grafton County. And then buy the properties and pay taxes for the counties we're putting our repeater systems in. Any other questions?
Not Barry, this lady there. Can you wait for the mic, please?
I know nothing about dispatch services, but when there's a proposal and there's possible potential of saving the town money, why on earth did it cost us nothing to get proposals? Proposals free. Everyone should want proposals. When you go shopping, do you check your prices? We all do. What is wrong with that? It's not gonna hurt anybody. It's only gonna hurt if you don't get the correct numbers. Doesn't cost us anything.
All right.
Well, Bruce, I'm just gonna rebut a little bit of us losing $200,000 for dispatch from the other two communities. Three communities. Those contracts that he's referring to are written for ambulance coverage in Shelburne and Randolph, and a small amount of it was for dispatch coverage, and fire and ambulance in the county, up Route 16. And again, only a small amount of that was figured for dispatch. We're not getting $200,000 of dispatch money from those other towns. But the biggest factor is we've got to throw numbers around all night. We can, it's no problem. I can refute any numbers that get thrown out if I feel they're wrong, because I have done my research. To get a true number, an RFP needs to be done. Why are you scared?
Just a minute. Mr. Larry.
I'm gonna turn my back on you because I'm not talking to you. Bruce Larry, some of you know me, don't like me. Some of you have heard of me, some of you are just learning about me. I'm involved in many things in this town. I'm getting the sense, we know the article is not legally written or binding, but I'm still getting the sense from Mr. White and others that you want to at least look into, at the very least, to see if we can save money. And I suggest whether you do a petition article for next year or directly to the selectmen to stop this. The last time it was done, and it was done, was when PJ Sear was the chief of police. And we had meetings, and we had it, the last one was at the town hall. In fact, John Skrinza sat in front of me, and Dr. Linsky sat in front of me, because we joked about law enforcement, jacking law enforcement. And it wasn't gonna save us but a few pennies to go to Gorham, because that was the one that they did. And it made no sense, and it went no further. Could it be better this time around? Yes. But I believe, as the chief said, repeaters. You need repeaters. They have a repeater that back in the day, PJ, we had to appropriate a large sum of money to redo the one on Pine Mountain, which we still have to pay. There are other mountains that we're gonna have to try to do. So to say you're gonna save 100,000 or 200,000, that's great. But how much incidental costs you're gonna pay? At this point, I would say it's irrelevant. I'd say pass over this, since it isn't, not gonna be a legally binding article in any way, shape, or manner, and actually require the town to send out an RFP, like I said, by petition or otherwise, to see what the viability there is of. And if it's viable, at a further town meeting, maybe next year, whatever, then we can pursue it further. And discuss the benefits of having our own versus not. But right now, it's illegal, so we can vote one way or the other. It's not mandated for anything.
All right, Sue. Over here.
Sue Demers. When we're talking about the 200,000 that we're getting from Randolph and Shelburne, is it a total of 200,000 for ambulance, dispatch, and fire department? And that is for 5 years, it's a 5-year contract? That's correct? And we just started this contract this year? It's misleading when it's being said we're getting 200,000. It is not for dispatch. It's for all three. That's a whole new story. And all we're asking for is to get information. We need the information and we don't want to wait another year.
All right, the motion on the floor is still to pass over.
Call the question. Second.
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
Made a motion to cease debate.
All right. I have a motion to cease debate. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, there it is. I have a motion on the floor to cease debate and move the question. First of all, the vote is going to be to cease discussion. Okay? All those in favor of ceasing discussion? All those opposed? All those opposed? Okay. All those in favor of, what was the term? Passing over Article 14, raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. In my eyes, the vote is too close. I'm gonna ask for a standing vote, and I'm gonna ask the supervisor of the checklist to count off all of those. So all those wishing to pass over, please stand and raise your cards. All right, please sit down. All those, all right, I'm getting a little lost now. All those opposed to passing over Article 14, raise your card. Stand and raise your card.
That's all. Then it's this one goes to line of feedback. Speakers are pointing too much. It can be turned to the sides. Like, actually, it sounds dramatic, but what's
The motion to pass over is 192 to 97. So the motion to pass over is carried.
No.
It is 9:15. The polls for the water and sewer will close in about 5 minutes. So if there is anyone that has not voted on the water and sewer ballots, please do so immediately. The voting will close in 5 minutes for that. Next article on the agenda is Article 15, to authorize the Board of Selectmen to sell the town's ownership in the 123 Main Street building in Gorham, otherwise known as the Family Resource Center, or FRC building. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0.
So moved.
Okay, a motion, made and seconded to approve Article 16. Any discussion or question? Any discussion or questions?
15, not 16.
You're right, it is 15. It's been a long day for me.
I get it, it's gonna get longer.
Mr. White.
Yep, Adam White of Gorham. I will go on and say the same thing I did last time, which I've been wanting to sell that thing forever. I really agree that the town should not be landlords. I don't approve of this though. And the reason I'll state very plainly, this board already has a backroom deal with another nonprofit. And they have stated such at the select board meetings that they already have a person of nonprofit to get into it and to buy that off the town. That's $1 million building. At the going rate right now, that is $30,000 a year tax bill. It's on the tax rolls. But since it's not, and the board wishes to keep it nonprofit, they didn't say they're gonna go out for a fair bid. They are in talks with a non-profit at this time and basically have a deal. Mike, you can look off into the blue yonder all you want. We watched the meetings again today.
Please, I'm asking no personal attacks.
Well, I'd like to have the board pay attention when I'm talking to them.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
But don't
You
worry,
guys-
I'm
All
next.
right, but
I'm next.
this is coming down to put it off this year. Do not approve this and wait until they can get the school to get rid of their 11% of the building so it can be a clean sale to a for-profit entity, and maybe they'll put it into housing and put it back on the tax rolls.
Mr. Waddell?
Adam, there's no deal. There's no deal whatsoever. We have been approached by a nonprofit, and I'll allow Peter Gagnon to discuss that with you. It's something that, one of many things actually, Adam, that we did agree on, was getting out of that. The town acquired 89% of that building, and the GRS school district, 11% of that building, when there was a proposal to tear it down and turn it into a parking lot. We got the support at town meeting to preserve the building. Then a nonprofit took the building, which was in very poor shape, and they put $750,000 into it over 20 years ago. So now the building is structurally sound. It's in pretty reasonable shape all around. However, we are reaching a point where, as that renovation ages, more money is going to have to be put aside for renovations. In my opinion, an opinion that Adam shared, was that the town had done its duty in protecting the building. And now it was time for someone to pick up that 89% from the town. Options include the GRS school district. They include another nonprofit. And they include private enterprise. And none of those is precluded with this article. All this article says is that if you agree that the town should move forward to getting rid of its 89%, then we're going to look at all three of those options. And one thing that Peter's going to talk about is that with nonprofits, it isn't necessarily a no payment for taxes. There is this thing called a payment in lieu of taxes, or a PIL. And we can certainly enter into an arrangement for that. But the one thing that, as far as the long-term health of that structure and its use, that a nonprofit brings, is they can bring money into the building that neither the town nor for-profit could. So as an example, you know the old bank across from Irving, which was purchased for $800,000 and which has had more than that put into it. I'm gonna guess they're around $1 million. And that money came from elsewhere. It wasn't raised and appropriated. It's now gonna be the Learning Center's headquarters, which was an identified need for the community, take care of young children. So the notion, Adam, that we've made up our mind is not correct. The mission ahead, and the only reason this article's on here, is we need to know if we're headed in the right direction. We think the town should explore options with the school to remove us from the deed. Now, what happens next is complicated. It'll involve a lot of negotiation. Obviously, my desired outcome would be a maximum return for the community, but who knows where all of this is going to go? Because as long as the GRS owns 11% of this, nobody's going anywhere. So next year, if you vote this in the affirmative, next year what happens is we come before you, hopefully with the GRS, with a plan that you can either accept or reject. That's all. That's all it is. And if you want to the status quo, and we're coming up on the end of a lease, the question is, what do we do next? Because we need to make serious progress on this year if we're going to dispose of our 89% interest. And I would ask Peter to follow through with some of the other stuff that I mentioned. Thank you.
So I'm Peter Gagnon, town manager. Many of you know me, some of you don't. Like Larry said, Mr. Larry was perfect. So we do not have any plans. I will confirm that. The FRC was consulted. They already own the building, or no, they maintain the building. We looked into that seriously. We had negotiations. That kind of stalled as a dead end. One thing that our attorneys pointed out when they reviewed all the warrant articles was, Peter, why are you going for a warrant to talk to the town? The board already has the ability to sell. And we said we want to be transparent and we want to get feedback because we know this is an important decision. So the board doesn't need to be, but as Mike said, we want to get the ball rolling, get feedback from you. Those are some of the options. It could be a not-for-profit. You know, they have money for rehabilitation, they have money for housing, they have money for different types of community needs. The Family Resource Center, we have not blocked them from our doors. You know, we're still open to talk with them. And then, of course, there's the corporate private sector. Of course, many of you know, parking is an issue. So it would be difficult to have a 12-person parking, I mean, a 12-unit building, and then where do you park? And that would be just something that could be overcome, but that's what a private entity might look at. Currently, there is nothing on the table that we have acted on. We are doing our due diligence and exploring like we always do. But like many of you, we just heard, you need to look, save money. We do this all the time. Many of you want to have this happen more so with the dispatch services. Well, we've been doing it with this. And again, where's it going to go? Status quo is always a reality. It could be some kind of private enterprise, and it could be a not-for-profit. I'll quickly finish up with Mike mentioned the PILT, the payment in lieu of taxes. We would not want or negotiate any kind of entity being in there, not-for-profit or otherwise, that didn't contribute to the town, as other properties have done. So this is a chance for your feedback. We've gotten somebody, thank you for that. But we don't have any inside deals. There is no road that we can't turn off on with this. We just wanted your input. Thank you.
Before we continue on, I'm declaring that the polls for water and sewer votes are over and closed. So the supervisors may start counting. Okay. Is there any other discussion regarding this question? Mary?
I'll come up to the podium. I'll come up to the podium so I can look back and address the people just like Peter just did.
Hello.
I'm Mary White. I took the time this afternoon to review the select board meeting that was held on January 13th, 2025. And I took down an exact transcript of everything that three of these individuals stated. So I'm going to quote these because it's an exact quotation. Peter Gagnon stated, quote, "The board did approach and we had really good faith, serious discussion with Family Resource Center about them purchasing the building. They decided to pass on any kind of purchase option. So one of the ideas that came up in the board's discussion was, okay, shall we put this on the market and try to find a buyer, a not-for-profit buyer to take over that building," end quote. Judy LeBlanc then stated, "I think we had discussed that it would be a nonprofit so that there wouldn't be any unsavory businesses going in." Mike Waddell, "Could we approach the school, the GRS, with a similar article so that we have both an article on, so that we both have an article on the warrant? If the GRS is going to fight this, then it's going to be tough sledding. If GRS and the town are of the same mind, to entertain this option from the nonprofit that's looking to purchase it. And I'm gonna say that again. If GRS and the town are of the same mind to entertain this option from the nonprofit that's looking to purchase it, then our chances of success will be a lot greater. So yeah, I'm in favor of working with that nonprofit and seeing if the town can be out of it. And I would note, Gorham, Randolph, and Shelburne District for the school did not have a warrant article this year. This is premature. They own 11%, we own 89%. They're looking at a nonprofit. Gorham currently has approximately $30.5 million of assessed property owned by nonprofits, the state of New Hampshire, the United States government, and the town of Gorham's own property. Property taxes on most of those are not paid. We have, I know of one payment in lieu of taxes. It's $20,000. The article, as I said, is premature. We need to wait until the school is on board. Otherwise, who would want to purchase only 89% of the building? Pretty much a nonprofit. Thank you.
Before I move the question, is there a response from the administration?
All right. The Northern Forest Center, the Conservation Fund, both looking to do workforce housing. Sorry about this. Yeah, in verbal conversations with them, those nonprofits were talking about paying us close to $1 million. Right, I take that seriously. I don't know what you two are doing. I mean, just because it's a nonprofit doesn't mean it's not gonna pay us. And that's part of the process. We need to get on with this thing and make a proposal to the school. I mean, if you vote this down, basically what you're saying is, hey, just leave everything alone, status quo. I hope that's not what I'm hearing, because we need to move forward with finding a solution for this, and what it will actually be. With your support, we'll be going to GRS and saying, yes, this is serious. But ultimately, it comes back here. So the first step is kind of a push to GRS that, yes, the town meeting wants us to look at getting off the deed. But if you say you're not interested in getting off the deed, then why would they be interested in working with us? You follow me? This thing has been sitting on my plate for the better part of 5 years. And yeah, I'd like to get moving on it. And it may or may not generate a significant sum of money, but we'll never know. And you'll never have an opportunity to vote on what we find out if we don't take the first step. So I hope you'll support this article, and that's all I have to say.
Michelle, I have a motion on the floor. I had a motion from someone on the floor to move the question.
Deidre Blair, I used to work for the Resource Center, and I have to say it's really upsetting when the Resource Center, like, that the board isn't acknowledging all that the Resource Center brings to the community. The Resource Center was offered to purchase the building, but is unable to. They don't have the money to do that. If you've had kids in this town, you've had experience with the Resource Center. They're in our schools. They help moms, like newborn moms. They help me with my taxes. They did that. They work with seniors. They work with every single part of our community. And not just our community, they're actually part of like all of northern New Hampshire. This past Christmas, they served over 400 families providing gifts for kids, clothing and toys, over 400 families. So when you talk about this building just being on your plate and kind of a nuisance, you're forgetting all the services that the Resource Center provides to our community, which is invaluable. And so I just think right now, the Resource Center is a tenant of the town. They also have a building up in Gorham, which is in need of repair right now. So if they lose this building, they don't really have like a place to house like all that work. And I just think right now it's not a good time. It's also like someone else had mentioned, like who's going to buy a building that they can only get 89% of? And right now we do have a tenant in there that is paying the bills and has been maintaining that building for 20 years. Just give them a little more time, or maybe give them a lease for like another year or two, but to just sell the building right now, I think is disregarding all the work that they provide our community. So, thank you.
Michelle?
I probably could talk about,
No.
all right, I probably could talk about enough anyways, but that's okay. I want to correct a misstatement that was just made about how much revenue the town of Gorham gets in build agreements, or what's now called pilot. It's nowhere near 20-some-odd thousand. Try $130,968. That's in your MS1.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Somebody had made a motion.
I second the motion.
Wait a minute. Okay, up there.
Hello, I just would like to first thank Deirdre for that lovely statement about what a community service FRC as a nonprofit has been over the last 28 years. And I would just say, this building wouldn't even be standing if it weren't for this collective project. Nonprofits are not evil. They are, you know, the way that it was portrayed makes me feel that's why I needed to say something that like it's a detriment to have a nonprofit in your community. It's what makes us a warm and vibrant. Investing in nonprofits and all community organizations is what keeps a community strong. Despite this situation and what we're talking about, we are able, and I'm speaking as a retired, sorry, this is but I just wanted to say that these discussions were all fair, and if another nonprofit does take it, it isn't going to hinder this community. It's going to make it better. And I think that to say that the select people are not hearing what we as citizens want is really wrong. That's why I just need to say, whatever happens with this vote, I believe in, you know, the people of our town will tell us what to do, but I do honestly believe that just don't paint nonprofits as not important in the community. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Simple question. Isn't their contract good through next year?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I just want to bring that up. Their contract's still there for the next year.
So we can do this right. I had a voice from someone who asked to move the question. I did not hear a second.
I second.
Can I ask who made the motion? It was Phil. Okay. All those in favor of ceasing debate and moving on, raise your hands. All those against ceasing debates, raise your hands. Okay. That looks pretty unanimous to me. All right. Now, for Article 15, to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dissolve the town's ownership in the 123 Main Street building in Gorham, otherwise known as the Family Resource Center or RFC building, recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. If you are in favor, raise your hands. Okay. If you are opposed, raise your hands. It looks to me that if the motion is an affirmative and it is passed. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to discontinue the street LED upgrade capital reserve fund established in 2017. Said funds accumulated interest to date of withdrawal are to be transferred to the municipality's general fund. Balance of $12/31/24, $6,371.03. Majority vote required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. I have a motion by Bruce and a second by Diane. Any discussion or questions? Seeing no discussion or questions, I will ask for the vote. All those in favor of Article 16, raise your cards. Anyone opposed to Article 16, raise your cards. I see only 2 in opposition, so the article is passed. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $80,000 for the purpose of highway and sidewalk asphalt repaving and curb projects. Tax rate impact, 21 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Majority vote is required. I have a motion by Bruce, seconded by Rita. Any discussion or question? Seeing none, if you're in favor of Article 17, raise your cards. If you oppose to Article 17, raise your cards. I have 2 in opposition, the motion is passed. We did it on Article 16.
Yeah, we said 17.
That's what I just read, Article 17. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $80,000 for the purpose of highway, sidewalk, asphalt, repaving, and curbing.
Mistake.
Okay. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to amend the purpose of the road resurfacing and reconstruction capital reserve fund to include sidewalks and to be used as matching funds towards grants and further raise and appropriate the same of $250,000 to be added to the roads resurfacing and reconstruction capital reserve fund as previously established and further to name the selectmen agents. Balance of December 31st, 2024, $651,557.64. Tax rate impact, 65 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. A 2/3 vote is required. I have a motion by Mr. Larry to approve.
Second.
I have a second by Bronson to approve. Any discussion or questions? Mrs. O'Malley.
I'd like to know if Cascade and River Street are gonna be on the list this year. We had our water mains, changed out last year and we're left with unbelievable bumps in the road. And, I looked into it and River Street hasn't been repaved in 51 years. We pay taxes like everybody else. We deserve something.
Mr. Gagnon.
So yes, that's fully our intent, is to repave that whole Cascade Flats area. Certainly make it better than it was. We've looked for months at different options, from full boat rebuilds to resurfacing. And it's not going to be either one of those. It's not going to be just a Band-Aid, let's put a top coat on it and call it good, and then have that degrade in a year or 2. On the other hand, we're not going to be doing a $3 million full dugout rebuild superhighway through there. Obviously, everything depends on the money, what you allow us to have, and what we can do with it. Currently, right now, the best option to get that done is using our own staff, our own DPW highway crews, to save a lot of money, tens tens of thousands of dollars. So ultimately down the road, if we find that because of decisions you all make, we don't have a DPW crew, then that might impact that. The other thing I'll point out with this and why you need a 2/3, there's a change in language. And I try to run the town and work with our department heads to do things that make sense. So for this capital reserve, we do sidewalks. And that's part of the road. It's kind of like, you know, why not? The current CRF doesn't have sidewalks in it. So I wanted to add that to give us more validity in actually what we do. And you'll see that coming up in another warrant article where we want to change the language to cover what we do. Does that answer your question?
It does, but I would suggest you drive your car down that road every day and see how long it takes you to leave it.
Oh, it is a priority for the town, it is.
Okay.
I have a question. Steve Roy, Gorham. If we redo the sidewalks in Gorham, are you gonna let the snowmobiles ride on them? Because I'll tell you what, they're tearing them up. If you guys go on Exchange Street, going up towards Promenade, Church Street actually, that sidewalk is gone. And it's because of the tracks on the snow machines. Just saw one today. I don't know where they got snow, but it's not on the sidewalk. I'd like that question answered, please.
Mr. Gagnon? Sure.
So Steve, thank you for bringing that up. It's a concern. As you might know, we have a $1 million plus Lancaster Road sidewalk project that's ongoing, finishing up engineering. You might have seen the folks out there with the equipment and the vests. Then we also have a Main Street $1.4 million project that's going to be ongoing. That project is congressionally directed spending, and it's for pedestrian improvements. So part of that will be sidewalks. We're also planning for better pedestrian crossings, making those safer, potential bike lanes. We're in an exploratory phase. There will be public meetings for that. These are pedestrian sidewalks. So whenever you hear me talk about these grants and these projects, they're for pedestrians. They're not multi-use. They're not, multi-use trails for everything. They're pedestrian sidewalks. And from the DOT as well as the federal grant folks, that is our expectation. So if we do pedestrian improvements, the kind of nexus point is for pedestrians. Now, down the road, if there's an ordinance passed and it's allowed or not, that I don't have a crystal ball. But the intent of these is not for snowmobile trails, it's not for technically even bikes. They're pedestrians, pedestrian sidewalks. If that's the best answer I can give you. Down the road, this body might choose to change an ordinance, but these are pedestrian sidewalks designed as pedestrian sidewalks.
Mike.
The snow machines are driving on them now, are riding on them. Who's gonna stop them from doing that? That's what I was asking. If you redo that sidewalk or any of the sidewalks at Gorham, who's gonna enforce to keep the snow machines off of the sidewalks?
Oh, it would be a similar situation where OHRVs, ATVs are driving where they're not supposed to go up the BG highway or out Route 2. So it would be our law enforcement is our local police. And we wouldn't expect neighbors or people to go out and broom, no. They are, our police enforce our ordinances.
Peter, I just wanted to catch up.
This is on Lieutenant Stapleton, just to touch on that. I was at a highway, can't hear me? Sorry. Can you hear me now? Here? I was actually at a highway safety summit down in Concord 2 weeks ago, almost every community across the state that's having this issue brought that up. DOT is tracking on that. If it does become an ordinance in Gorham, that we choose to not make that a rule anymore, it'll be enforced just like any town ordinance. Just like the town manager said, if you're on an ATV someplace you're not supposed to be, you're getting ticketed for it.
Okay. Mr. White, and then this gentleman.
I just,
Until the ordinance gets changed, there's nothing we can do about that, so. Sorry.
I just want to catch Peter.
Okay, Mr. White.
I wanted to save Peter from sitting down and getting mad up. My understanding was, this isn't really a for or against, I just want people to be informed. Part of the reason for doing this sidewalk on this capital reserve is because the matching amounts for the grants for the sidewalks project wanted to come out of this. Is that correct?
Those funds could be used, yes, for any grant action, yes.
But that was the discussion that came up when I mentioned it doesn't say sidewalk. And you're fixing that, which is great.
Yeah.
I just want the people here to understand how much money is coming out of that capital reserve that is not going to fix roads, but it's going to fix the sidewalks. And I thought sidewalks need to be fixed. But people should be informed. That's all I'm asking.
Oh, certainly, it would allow us to build a new sidewalk on Cascade Flats, or, we wouldn't build one totally on everything. But certainly Route 2, most of our funds, they're either 80-20 or 75-25, so that would go towards that.
Okay, this gentleman here.
Lauren Lippert. I live up on Promenade Street. You guys are actually putting trails up the sidewalks. And I get there's no ordinance or anything, but in the winter, you can't walk up those sidewalks because of those trails. And it is ripping up those sidewalks. So obviously, you're saying, well, this stuff is for sidewalks. You avoided the question. He asked you, are you going to stop putting these sidewalks or this trail on the sidewalk? And you basically said, well, we're working on Main Street, we're working on Route 2. That does nothing for Promenade Street or Church Street or anything like that, where you guys have trails going up those sidewalks.
Any other discussion or questions regarding Article 18? All right, not seeing any other questions, I will ask for the vote. All those in favor of Article 18? All those opposed to Article 18? I see only a handful. Article 18 is passed. Article 19. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $18,591 for the funding of the town clerk's budget. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 2 to 0 to 1. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote to the 6 to 0 to 1. Majority vote required. Questions or discussions?
So moved.
I have a motion by Bruce and another one by Branson. Okay. All right, any questions or discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 19, raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. Okay, and we see a handful, the motion is passed. Article 20. There's going to be some discussion about this, but let me read the article. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of $5,419,426 for the general municipal operations. The article does not include special or individual articles addressed. Majority vote required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3 to 0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7 to 0. General government is $1,820,991. The tax impact is $3.315 per thousand. Public safety, $2,258,259. The rate impact will be 5.845. Highway, streets, and bridges, $1,068,671. The impact will be 2.76 per thousand. Municipal solid waste recycling, $324,921. The impact will be 0.841. Airport, $100. Impact will be 0.01 on $1,000. Health purposes, $1,700. The impact will be 0.01. Welfare, $50,075. The impact will be 0.13. Recreation and parks is $224,919. 0.582 on the impact on the $1,000. Patriotic purposes, the budget committee has recommended $3,978. Tax impact 0.01 cents on the $1,000. Conservation Commission, $250 with an impact of 0.01 on the tax rate. Long-term debt, $205,562 with a tax rate impact of 0.3532. For a total of the budget committee, $5,419,426 with a tax rate impact of 14.021. Now, let me get to this. I have a petition here that has been signed by 5 people. And they are requesting that all votes to Article 20, including motions to amend the operating budget, be taken by secret with written ballot. So I have no choice, but that's what we have to do, which means that we will have to vote this way.
Mr. Moderator, I do have a question. We received only one ballot vote.
If you would let me, I will get to it. If you would let me, I will get to it. Okay. Because this last petition came in this evening, we have been out of balance. My clerks and the town clerk and the supervisors of the checklist have been working hard to try to find this. Now, I want you to understand that because these ballots were not passed out when we registered, that would mean is that once the ballots are ready, everyone in this room is going to have to go back to the table, re-register, pick up their ballots before they go over there and vote. So, that's the situation that we're in. Yes.
Just a quick note, we have one. That can be used for the amendment.
Yes, I'm looking at that.
Microphone. Can't hear him.
We have one ballot for question 20, which means if there is an amendment, which I'm sure there's going to be, that will cover the first one. And then we have to wait to do for that answer before we can do the second one.
That is exactly correct.
So we have time to get started, and they have time to get extra ones done in the meantime.
I realize I'm probably not moving fast enough, but I was trying to get to that. Sorry. But that's the case. So I want everybody to be aware of what we have. All right?
I'll move the article as presented.
I have a motion to move the article as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Judy. Discussion. Mrs. White.
I would like to offer an amendment to Article 20 to reduce the amount listed in the book by $624,683 for a lower total of $4,794,783. $743 in an attempt to provide tax relief to the taxpayers of Gorham.
Okay. I have a motion for an amendment.
Second.
I have a second. Questions, discussion?
On the amendment.
On the amendment.
Paul Muscat. As a point of order, having an amendment have a secret ballot, what does the New Hampshire RSA's law say on that? Or what does the, and I know there's a handbook of election practices and so on and so forth. I'm not a New Hampshire native, but I've been going to town meetings since 1990. I've never seen an amendment have a secret ballot. I don't know what it says, and I can't get a signal because I'm trying to find it on my phone to see if I can get some information back, but I can't because we're in a vault here. So, but I just think the point of order, I have an issue with the 5. I understand that 5 signatures can get a secret ballot, but on an amendment, I just like to have some proof on that. I don't know.
Before we proceed any further, I want to let all of you know that this was petitioned. I have 5 registered voters on this. This was handed to me tonight when we first walked in here right after the election. It says, we, the other side, certify that we are registered voters in the town of Gorham and are physically present at the annual town meeting on March 11, 2025. We respectfully submit our request to the moderator that all votes related to Article 14. And that's the key, all votes related to Article 14 be taken by secret ballot. I tried to call the secretaries.
20, Article 20.
Article 20, excuse me.
It's getting
I'm reading the
tired.
wrong one. Here it is, it's staying the same language, but Article 20. I tried to get a hold of the Secretary of State and was not able to get through. So from my understanding of the rules and regulations, because it is petitioned, that I have to allow it. If it was made from the floor, I do not have to. But because it's a petition, from my understanding, I have to go along with this. Any discussion from the administration?
Shenanigans.
Sir. Secret ballot tickets when we walked in the door. Excuse, okay. You were given secret ballot tickets for number 20 for the entire article. That was it. The amendment came in afterwards. So I have no ballots to give you for the amendment. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to use the ballots for number 20 for the amendment until we put together some others. Bruce.
I have a point of order for the.
Yes, please.
The dollar amount being cut, does that fall within the 10% rule? Number one. I know quite a few different years, the budget committee and other areas and even in here, there was a lot of discussion and it went back and forth between the Secretary of State, et cetera. And I'm not sure what it is, because I've been out of the loop for the last 5 or 6 years, but I know it's pushing a little over 10%, so I'm just questioning the validity of the dollar amount.
Okay, just a minute. Is there anyone from the administration who wants to address this?
That's a Bronson question.
All right, then we'll proceed to the other.
Hi, Bronson Perry, Director of Finance. The 10% rule does not apply to lowering budgets. It's a cap on the total increase on a budget, excluding things like bonds, notes, etc.
Okay. So, Mr. White. He's just in front. I didn't see you. All right.
But he's been waiting.
Buddy, please. He was waiting before.
Austin Holmes, and I'm a little ignorant on some of this, but I heard the question was moved and was seconded. Don't we have to vote on that before we can worry about an amendment?
You have an amendment before you vote on the motion.
You can't do an amendment until it's been moved. Then you do the amendment.
And the amendment has been moved. Other discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute, we got all kinds. I'm gonna go to the people up in the back, Mr. Wade.
Dennis Wade, a couple things. One, can you start paying attention to people up here, because we've been standing all night long and no one's listening to it. We keep going to the same exact people up front.
I will do my best.
I know, thank you, Paul. The second thing is, what's the $640,000 that you're expecting to cut from? There's an old saying, don't come to me with a problem, come to me with a solution. So you can't just tell the selectmen to cut $640,000. When they do that, you don't like it, now you're gonna come back screaming again at the 10. So, the other thing is, I'd like to know who the petitioners are on this, so I think the town should know those people.
The petitioners are Mary White, Arthur Perry, Richard Caswell, Cardell, Lisa Cardell.
Have them stand up, make sure they're here.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, we'll be here.
Are you all here? Are the petitioners all here?
Yes, they
I
are.
only see the whites so far.
They're up top. Arthur.
Would you please stand?
Arthur's right there.
And then, okay, Adam White. Where is Adam?
He's moving around.
Okay. Phil?
I was just wondering, in order to save time, when people went up to vote on the amendment, could they be given the tickets to vote on the article then instead of re-registering everybody? Seems like it would save a lot of time, because I don't think we're getting around the amendment, so.
Is that a possibility?
Yes, the ballots are ready.
Yes, that's a possibility.
Hi. You said you have a petition for a secret ballot on 14, but we didn't do a secret ballot on 14.
14,
Why do we have to do a secret ballot on this one?
I misread that. 14 was described as moved, it was passed over. That's why we didn't do a secret ballot on that. This has not been, this is the town budget.
But somebody did motion to vote on it or without the amendment, so does that supersede the request for
The way
amendment?
The way I understand it is that we have to vote on the amendment first and then go back to the original article. But I've been informed by my deputy moderator that we can vote on both at the same time.
But was there a petition for the secret ballot for the amendment or for the?
There were petitions for both.
Okay. For both the amendment and the budget?
Right.
Okay.
This lady down here.
So can we use 14 for the second one, since we all have 14?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Is there a reason why you can't?
Yes, we could. Yes, we could.
I know, I'm getting to you, this lady here.
Good evening, I'm Donna Godden. Today I speak in support of reducing the town portion of our property tax rate to help all Gorham residents, but especially those who are financially struggling to pay their bills and taxes. The majority of Gorham residents are seniors on fixed incomes. Some have had to come out of retirement and work a job again to pay their bills and taxes. Some are parents working multiple jobs, some are single modest income homeowners, some are grandparents raising grandchildren. Many have lived in our beautiful town much of their lives and don't want to have to sell their homes and move. After the 2022 property revaluation, many residents saw the value of their homes increase by the tens of thousands of dollars, nearly doubling their property taxes. As we were told, the property tax rate would drop, and it did, from $35.60 to $24.25. Now the proposed tax rate is $30.94. That's a $6.69 increase in just 3 years. We are creeping closer to that $35.60 tax rate, again, but now with higher value properties. As a side note, the town is planning to do another revaluation of properties this year. In addition to a high property tax rate, residents have had to endure high inflation during the last few years. Times are financially tough for many. So as taxpayers, we look to our town administrators to create a budget that is as lean as possible so residents can afford to pay their property taxes. Like any organization, administrators should set the example for their departments to come up with as lean a budget as possible. Unfortunately, this does not appear to be the case in our small town. Our town manager's salary is slated to go from a starting salary of $85,500 in June 2023 to $115,000 salary in June 2025. That's a $29,500 increase in salary in just 2 years. Using percentage, that's a 34.48% increase. Who in our community is getting a 34.48% salary raise in just 2 years? It surely isn't our seniors on fixed incomes. It surely isn't me. How could the select board approve this huge increase in the town manager's salary in light of an already high property tax rate and a high inflation economy? Thank you for listening.
Somebody over here has a hand up. Victoria? Who is it?
Abby Ebango?
I can't see her.
Oh,
Okay, Abby.
Abby Ebango. It's been awful to see neighbor pitted against neighbor with this budget cycle. And it gives the appearance of residents being against the very employees, also residents, who provide the services we rely on. My question to the select board is, are you working with the COAS delegation to restore the state's share of the retirement costs of teachers, municipal and county workers that was cut in the 2012 recession and never restored? While Concord cut more taxes like 0.5% for room and meals and the entirety of the interest and dividends tax, which most of us never felt, our property taxes we certainly have felt. Not to mention the state's ongoing failure to pay for an adequate education. Concord cuts taxes and our property taxes climb and our town is stressed. The current system is going to break working class towns like Gorham. So is the select board going to work with the COAS delegation and other small towns like Gorham to restore the much needed state support that we need?
Is someone from the administration care of law?
We are going to work with the delegation. Of course we are. It's already been discussed.
Not like we don't ask for that every year. I mean, sadly, when you're in the legislature, you worry about your budget in the legislature. You don't worry about the budget in your town. It was mentioned, the interest and dividends tax. That's 9% of the general fund, or it was, and they just stopped collecting it. And so where are you gonna get that money? Well, we're here tonight to give them that money. That's how it works. So there is an operational side of this thing. Now, if you wanna cut the budget, that's an all-American thing to do. I mean, we've been throwing tea in the ocean for a long time. You can do the all-American thing, cut your taxes, but you're gonna have some results, and I'll leave it to the departments heads to muse, but there's not gonna be any less than 6 people let go in this deal. And some of the suggestions we received for letting people go, I mean, I'll just pick on one, was we hired an individual, Megan Simmons, to work with Michelle Lutz. We signed a contract with an assessing firm recently. They came in with an annual expense of $73,000. I got that right? All right. And Peter Gagnon had something of a heart attack. So what he did was he went back to them and said, you do realize that the assessing clerk and Megan Simmons do all these different things that you're planning on charging us for. Then after some negotiations, we came back with another contract that was $40,000 lower. Now, the other thing that's going on is some years ago, under Robin Frost, 2 things happened. KRT was hired to do our assessing, and we adopted the Patriot Property Assessing Program. It all seemed good enough at the time. Some of us expressed doubt. But on something like this, it's very difficult to tell whether you're buying a good program or not. And frankly, both KRT had credentials at the time, and the Patriot Guard system is widely used in Massachusetts. Bring you forward to the last year or 2. KRT has left the state in 14 towns without assessors. They just left them, and no one to replace them. And then the Patriot Guard system, the principals in that abandoned ship, and with those custom software programs, if you haven't got someone who's constantly updating them, they don't work. So we have managed to locate another assessing program, and we hope to get out of it. And Peter, correct me, but I believe we're somewhere between $1.50 and 200,000, not 350,000. The value of Megan and Michelle is an additional $40,000 and $30 an hour doing the transfer. Or you could get rid of Megan, and Michelle will do all the other duties of the assessing clerk, and we'll hire a private contractor to finish the assessing program at an additional $40,000. So this is a case where you release one employee, and you wind up spending $40,000 more. This was explained at the budget committee level, explained at the selectmen's level, it's on tape. Then the other employee is Marty Bellier, and I feel like I gotta bring him up. So he was identified for a cut by the GTA. Here's the thing, you'll also notice we're currently running about 25,000 under on our overtime in the police department for 2 reasons. 1, we're fully staffed, and so you don't need as much overtime. 2, we have Marty, who is on straight time, no benefits. He's a very cheap cop to have around, and kind of a nice guy. And beyond that, He's actually a bit of a mentor to the many officers in the department. So cutting him, that's silly. So we're gonna have to, with this proposed 624,000, you're gonna see some real changes to public works. And, you know, I get told scare tactics, listen, I haven't got the money. We're gonna have to let some of those guys go. Snow will get picked up when it gets picked up. You know, maybe we can work, see who picks up snow the slowest between us and the neighboring community. There are gonna be cuts elsewhere, not where they've been suggested, but where we can find the least impact to the taxpayers. And you will feel it. I mean, it's a big number. It's a really big number. So, you know, there are consequences. Now, if you're expecting that reduction in services, you still want to cut the budget, that, I absolutely respect that. But when I hear from people that there's going to be no impact, you're not going to notice a thing, if the business is going to be as usual, no, it isn't. No, it won't. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. White.
I'm gonna stay seated only because my knees are really getting bad. Okay? My scare tactics, Mike, what I mean is, if you listen to this proposal, the cuts to any one department does not put anything out of business. Nothing. Well, in
That's
Peter.
wrong. That's wrong.
I said out of business. You can cut back without eliminating. Nobody said anything about eliminating curbside pickup, but that was in Peter's letter. That's why I say fear mongering. Mary has written down what the GTA group did and figuring cuts in. And yes, every dollar is pulled out. For the one that asked, we were just waiting to get to it. You can trim stuff without cutting it out completely. First thing is, you like to personalize it that, oh, we want Barney gone. No, it's not what we said. We said we want to return the police department to a 6-officer department, which is what it was. 6, and it was 24/7 coverage with 6. If you keep a part-time to fill in, that's fine. But right now, it's scheduled 20 hours a week. Have them part-time to fill in when needed. Does it have to be 20 hours a week every week? That's not part-time, as far as going for a part-time officer. Now, when we get to the point where we can go through each one individually, down through, we'll show you exactly where these cuts can be done with minor tweaks to individual departments. There's not gotten the fish here anywhere. So,
Are you suggesting that we go through this budget line item by line item?
okay, just
No, Judy, microphone, sir.
No, I'm done.
and that's okay, I get it. Judy wanted to know if we propose that we go through the budget line item by line item. No, we're just gonna hit the high points. But I'll tell you what, we'll give you the budget line item by line item that we came across and where we saw cuts could be done without damaging any department, to the point of not being able to provide the services we're asking for.
Okay, Bruce had his hand up first, and then Rollins.
I'll go. Thank you, and again, I'm gonna turn to Felix. Really don't need to talk to you guys.
You're hurting my feelings, Bruce.
Number one, the way this article is written, it's all under one volume dollar amount. So that means when something happens and comes up, because the process is, the board of selectmen can transfer money from one department to the other to help offset whatever event took place in that department for special needs. The way your amendment works the same way, because you're just putting a dollar amount. So thus, they can cut from whatever area they so desire, whether we like it or not. I said it many years ago in the school board, and I thought everyone in the building was gonna kill me. Because you can cut the article, dollar amount, but that doesn't bind them to what you suggest, period. Number one, what I'm just recently hearing about how you can cut this and you can cut that. I don't recall seeing any of your names on the budget committee, since there was some vacant seats, there. That's the area where you go. That's where you run. That's where you question the dollar amount and you make your recommendations to the rest. Does that mean I like my taxes being over $5,000 for my share? No. And I still have to pay flood insurance on top of that? No. And they still haven't done anything with Messenger Brook as far as removing the washed down debris, which now is causing greater flooding and will continue, like I'm sure many of the other brooks and streams have done this past year and a half. There are more things coming down the road. So unless you really want to cut services, look at your neighbor, look at who's sitting next to you. It's somebody's son, daughter, husband, wife. You will be cutting somebody's position out. You will be cutting services that you don't mind cutting out. But this person over here doesn't want to cut out. What that elderly woman over there does need to have at her house. Think about it. And until you get, as I used to say, my father used to get on my butt, get your butt up and go do it. Go sign up, go run, go find out what it's all about. I'm hearing from people that want to seriously cut, and their passions are great, and it is sincerely thought of. Because Lord knows I'd love to, but at the same time, I don't see any of your names on there. And you're talking about line items of where these people can cut. Get involved, go do it. Don't come here and complain and expect everybody to follow you just because you think you're right. You may very well be. But at the same time, how does any of us know? We're all blind leading the blind if you continue this way. Get involved, get your facts straight, be able to walk through the motion. If you're willing to cut something, you come back to this town meeting and say, look, we're not going to do trash pickup like somebody mentioned. Even said, you're looking to do away with ambulance service? We'll book out somewhere? Fine, we can do that. Looking to do away with no fire protection? You can do that. Dispatcher, you can do that. But you all better remember one thing. Every time you call, whether it's the 3336, 2334 number here in Gorham, somebody answers the phone. When you call Berlin, you get an answering machine. Dial this, dial that, please hold. I know firsthand. The hospital knows firsthand. What are you going to come up with? When you need something, the police department shows up. Whether you like what they do, they don't come, that's an irrelevant. But they show up. When you have a fire, guess what? You don't even have to call the fire department, somebody else does, and guess what? They show up. So what do we want to live with? And if you can't come in and explicitly show how it's not going to affect anything, and you can't explicitly say, we're cutting this for this, then it's foolish. And you haven't done your work like you think you've done. Get involved, do the budget committee, or go to the meetings and make the people appointed or elected there to do their actual jobs. Some of you have, I know they've been in this room, some of you were very tenacious in what you did when you were on the board and I was there. And that's great, but we need more of that. Not coming here or bitching on Facebook or anywhere else. You know, it's time to put the big boys and pants on and act like the adults we're all supposed to be. And actually demonstrate something to children.
Again, Paul Severity. So just to answer part of the first question that Mrs. Gilman said, the town throughout the process, we started, departments came to me, Peter, and then to the board, and to the budget committee. Throughout the process, if you do look at the budgets that we publicly post on our website, line item by line item, we made at least a total of $153,500 worth of cuts and reductions compared to the 2024 budget. So while yes, there is an increase in the operating budget this year, we did, being reticent from that November meeting, make cuts out of the way. Just one, a couple examples is that, by making the town clerk's budget now a stipend, lowering other things with that saved $48,000. John, our public works director, came to us during the budgeting process and said, hey, you know what? I think we can cut our sand salt budget so a total of $28,000. It was going to be left flat, but he took that initiative to come to us later in the process saying, no, we can do this. Because we have bargaining, as previously mentioned, our police department was able to cut their overtime lines by at least $25,000 because we have that consistent part-time. So to say that we haven't been listening and we haven't been making cuts is untrue, respectfully. Now to address that some services won't be drastically altered, I know having listened to that February 24th meeting, my finance department, in my opinion, would be, because when and I know I told you this happened because you came in the office, had a great conversation. So I'll let you all know the secret. When I was hired to be the finance director, I was actually going to be on my way out to accept a job offer for $6 more an hour doing half the work. Part of my thing to the board and police at the time was, hey, I will not accept this position until we segregate our duties and bring in another person. That person now is Carol. They would suggest that we remove the fiscal assistant office manager from highway because at the same time, Lisa White, who was the office manager at highway, a full-time position, was stepping down to go somewhere else. So instead of hiring 2 full-time positions, we decided we would take 1 full-time position and spread the duties around to save money. So given that I was hired or I accepted this job offer under the presumption we will have a HR payroll person and a fiscal assistant in our office, I don't see how I could continue working here if we don't keep that in place. So I'm sure I could say more, but I'll let other comments happen now.
Any discussion? Just a minute here. Anyone else up in the back? I haven't paid attention to you yet. Okay, very white.
I'm gonna come up because I kind of need to lean on the podium.
It's very wrong, so be careful.
I have here the notes that I had used from the GTA subcommittees that made the recommendations. We had several subcommittees with several members on most of them, and we reached various conclusions based on a line-by-line review of the budgets. So to the gentleman who asked, do we have specific recommendations? We absolutely did. We held a meeting on February 24th that was 2¼ hours. We went through this entire document, section by section, department by department, and outlined the sort of cuts that we were looking to make and the amounts that each of those.
You're not the budget committee.
I'm not the budget committee. I'm talking about the Gorham Taxpayers Association. The Gorham Taxpayers Association was created after we received our November bills for taxes, and we realized something had to be done. So we had 45 individuals who signed up for. I'm answering the gentleman's question.
That was after this meeting.
I'm good, I'm in order.
And I'd like to make the statement that I wanted to make to begin with, but trust me, the Gorham Taxpayers Association worked very hard, and we looked at a variety of different budgets, all of the budgets really, and made specific recommendations. I understand that emotions run deep on the issue of how to decrease the tax burden on our taxpayers. The select board claimed last night to have made numerous budget reductions, but when you actually look at those reductions, they have a minimal effect on the tax rate. Our town manager stated we're always trying to save a little bit for the town. The problem is that our tax bills have become so outrageous that we no longer can just limit our savings to a little bit. It's very important to note that none of the reductions outlined by the town manager address the elephant in the room. The town of Gorham is the third largest employer in Gorham. We have more employees than the mill. Full-time positions have been added over the past few years, and the salary and benefits for those full-time employees are very expensive to the taxpayers. Unfortunately, the sad reality is that there's no way to significantly reduce our tax bills without eliminating some full-time positions. Thankfully, there is a strong job market right now, with many employers crying for workers. I know someone who recently was let go. In 48 hours, she was offered a better job with more hours, better benefits, and a chance for an advancement. I've heard many comments from department heads, town manager, and select board that are very compassionate towards town employees who might lose their job. However, where is the same compassion for taxpayers expressing fear of losing their homes or having to move away from their town because they cannot afford to stay? Where is the compassion for retirees on fixed incomes who have had to tighten their belts to the point where they have to go back to work due to rising tax bills? Where is the compassion for young families who may need to move and relocate their children to a different school system after they're already settled in and become part of this community?
I have a point of order. Please go ahead.
It's been 2 minutes and.
I believe that applies to town meeting.
I heard this on all questions.
Fine. Enjoy your tax bill in November, folks.
There were other people that had their hands up. I have a motion to cease debate. Do I have a second? Are you guys seconding that? Okay, I have a motion to cease debate and vote on the question. Then I will give you the instructions on how we're going to do this. All those in favor of ceasing debate? Okay. All those opposed to ceasing debate? The motion to cease debate has been carried. So, for these articles that we have, because they are a secret ballot, which means the box will have to be brought up. You are going to use number 14.
I don't have a 14.
Number 14, yes or no on the amendment. Okay? We're gonna do this together. Okay. There's people without ballots. Use the 20. Hey, we'll get there. Hang on a minute. All right. Those of you who don't have a ballot for number 14 for the amendment, I'm going to ask you one by one to see the town clerk right there, so you can get your ballots. Those of you who do have number 14, I'm going to allow you to go ahead and vote. Now, the box is going to stay open for an hour. So at the same time, all right. We'll have to do that. So, point of motion, all right. Those of you who have a ticket for number 20, number 20 is for the budget, as is. As is. Right, I'm having a difficult time with this. Okay, let me go over this again. All right, those of you who have at number 14, you will vote yes or no on the amendment. Those of you who have number 20 will be voting yes or no on the budget as it is. Once everyone is voted, then we will count the ballots for that. Why?
For the budget, that you don't know if it's gonna pass.
Can't do that.
I'm
Are we voting for the budget?
14 only.
Number 14 is for the amendment. Just the amendment now.
He interacts, that's Nick. Nick does have.
No. Just the amendment. I made a mistake. Okay, please, we're only voting on the amendment at this time. Voting on the amendment alone.
No means you don't.
Right. Yes means you want the amendment, no means you don't. Just the amendment.
We know that stuff. It doesn't matter if we want to rush, I'm still gonna go sit down and come back up.
All right. Is there anyone that hasn't voted on the amendment? All right. Right now, I'm calling one more time. Is there anyone that hasn't voted on the amendment? Okay. Then, if everyone will listen, please. Please. If everyone can listen for a minute. In order of time, what I'm going to do is we'll go back to Article 20 as it was originally presented. Okay? We have another box set up.
We need to count the amendment.
I'm sorry, we have to wait. All right. If there's no one that has voted yet that wants to, raise your hand. Then I'm going to assume that everybody in the room has voted, and we will count the result of the amendment. In the meantime, I want to give to you the results of the water and sewer votes. Article 6, yes, 239, no, 30. Article 7, yes, 234, no, 42. Article 8, yes, 239, no, 36. Article 9, 237, no, 30. Article 10, 238, no, 27. All the water and sewer articles have passed. As soon as I get the results from the amendment, then we can go on to the full budget. Yes.
On behalf of the Water and Sewer Department, we thank you very much.
Mary, tomorrow,
Can we move on to 21 while we're waiting?
Hopefully they're gonna be done quickly.
People, it seems like that would speed things up.
For the results. Is everyone ready for the results? The amendment, yes, 50, no, 186. All right, now, Mr. Larry.
I would like to move Article 1 as printed in the book.
I have a motion to move the Article 20 as printed.
And yes, I'd like to move Article 20 as printed in the warrant.
Okay.
That warrant's that's already on the floor.
All right, it's already on the floor, so it's okay. All right, it doesn't matter, that's a moot point. But the motion is made to move the article as printed. I have a motion in a second. So, what we're gonna do now is, because it's a secret ballot, we have to take the box, and we're all gonna have to go and vote in the box again. And that would be number 20, yes or no?
Yes means.
Yes means you approve the budget, no means you don't. Yes.
Mr. Moderator, before we do that, I would ask the 5 people who petitioned for this article to be a secret ballot, to come on. I mean, look at the numbers. This is just gonna keep us here till midnight, counting for a result that we already know. So I would ask for those petitioners to relieve us of this secret ballot.
Please you all take your seats and call for the vote. Okay, as soon as everyone's seated, I'll call for the vote. Okay, are you ready? The motion is to read, I'm going to read Article 20 against Lawson, because the motion is made as printed in town warrant, in the town warrant. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the budget committee's recommended amount of $5,419,426 for general municipal operations. This article does not include special or individual articles we address. Majority vote required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. All those in favor of the article as printed in the warrant, raise your cards. All those opposed to the warrant as printed in the card, raise your cards. It looks like a pretty good majority to me. I declare the article passed.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion not to reconsider Article 20.
Second.
My motion made.
Mike.
That's right, that's what it's for.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded not to reconsider this article. If you are in favor of not reconsidering this article, raise your cards. If you are not in favor, raise your cards. Okay, the motion is passed. The article is deemed reconsidered. Okay, Article 21. Mr. Larry.
Is Article 21 still a valid vote, or has that been rescinded? That request? That's the one I hear.
Is Article 21 rescinded?
Yes.
All right, Article 21 is rescinded. We can do a voice vote. Let me read Article 21.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, Mr. Larry.
I'd like to make a motion that we combine Articles 21, 22, 23, 24 into one vote.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion made and seconded to combine Articles 21, 22, 23, and did you say 24? And 24 into one bundle. All those in favor of combining, raise your cards. All those opposed to combining, raise your cards. I would say the majority has it. We're going to combine each. Now, I have to read each article.
Read fast, Paul.
I'll do the best I can. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $171,415 for the operation of the Gorham Public Library, tax rate impact 44 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 6-0-1. Majority vote required. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 for the purpose of supporting the 4th of July committee with the cost of fireworks for the 4th of July celebration. Tax rate impact, 0.03 cents, recommended by the Board of Selectmen and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $55,000 to be added to the fire truck capital reserve fund as previously established. Balance of December 31st, 2024, $329,614.79. Tax rate impact, 14 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Article 24, to see if the vote will raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the SCBA Capital Reserve Fund as previously established. Balance as of December 31st, 2024, $17,883.32. Tax rate impact, 0.03 cents, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0. Majority vote required. All those in favor?
We have to have discussion.
That's right, I forgot about that. Any discussion or questions?
I think you gotta move it first.
I move it.
Motion made and seconded, move the question. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of passing Articles 21, 22, 23, and 24, raise your cards. Okay. All those opposed to passing Articles 21, 22, 23, and 24, raise your cards. Thank you. Motions are passed.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion not to reconsider Articles 21 through 24.
Second.
I have a motion made not to reconsider Articles 21 through 24. I have a second? Okay. All those voting not to reconsider Articles 21 through 24, raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. Only being one majority votes, we will not vote to reconsider. Mr. Larry.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that we combine under one vote Articles 25, 26, 27, and 28.
I have a motion made to combine Articles 25, 26, 27, and 28, and I have a second. All right. Any? Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Okay. All those in favor of combining Articles 24, 25, 26,
25.
25 through 28. Raise your cards. All those opposed? The majority passes. Articles 26 to 28 have passed.
No, that's the combined. You still have to read them all.
The motion to combine the articles is passed. All right. Now, let me read the articles and then we can vote. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $45,000 to be added to the ambulance capital reserve fund as previously established. Balance as of December 31st, 2024, $140,344.11. Tax rate impact, 12 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0. recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7 and a majority vote required. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the police cruise capital reserve fund as previously established. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $27,574.67. Tax rate impact, 0.7%. Article 27, to see if the vote will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the police capital reserve fund as previously established. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $37,621.46. Tax rate impact, 0.03. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to nothing. Recommended by the majority recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 6 to 0. Majority vote required. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $13,000 to be added to the dispatch equipment capital reserve fund as previously established. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $74,001.24. Tax rate impact, 0.03 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to nothing. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 6 to 0. Majority vote required. Is there any questions or discussion regarding these articles?
Need a motion. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second to approve all of these articles. Are there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. This is to approve Articles 25, 26, 27, and 28. If you're in favor, raise your cards. Opposed? No one opposed, I declare these articles are passed.
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 29 be passed as presented.
Second.
Yeah, we have to get on the floor.
Okay. I have a motion to pass Article 29 as is. Do I have a second? I have a second over there. Three. Any questions or discussion? So.
Need the mic.
I do not know when this CRC Capital Reserve Fund originated, but in the past 10 years, annual appropriations have been made for a total of $951,500. We currently have a balance of $321,954. I do not feel it would be in Gorham taxpayers' best interest to change the description to include fields, with decisions for expenditures at the sole discretion of the selectmen. I will wait for the GRS cooperative for $25,000, with the Gorham taxpayers paying 84% of the GRS expenditures, was to upkeep, improve, and enhance athletic fields. Have we given up ownership of our fields? It was mentioned that the fields needed major work and that the selectmen, town manager, and school officials had had discussions on plans to improve the fields. With a tax rate of over $30 per thousand, I do not feel that this is the time to sink money into fields that have been this way for generations.
Mr. Gagnon? Mr. Gagnon?
Thank you. So, to be clear, the town would pay 100%, they have to pay 100% for any fields, things of that nature. We have Promenade, we've got the pool complex, we've got a lot of different things. The language in this capital reserve was kind of limited. So if we wanted to put a fence up, the rec department needed a fence around that, or we needed to put up a flagpole, that's not a building. So this allows us to kind of take care of our real property, which includes our fields. In terms of your concern, the MOU we have with the GRS would require Randolph and Shelburne to pay something. Now, it's not as much as the folks in Gorham pay, But right now, we pay 100%. So we kind of got them in to join and pay something. And it's a cooperative effort. It takes the school and the town. The school doesn't drive the bus, the town doesn't drive the bus. Well, actually, it's our land, so I guess we do. So if the school said we want to put in a swimming pool, we would talk about it. My guess would probably be, unless we had some multi-million-dollar funder, the town would say, no, we're not going to do that. If we wanted to refinish the tennis courts, that's our property. We'd have a discussion with the schools. If we needed to put up safety fences or a fence needed to be repaired at Libby Field, this would allow us to get together as a school and a town. What's the best way forward? Who's paying for what? Who really wants it? And move forward with a plan. In the past, we haven't really had plans. There's a lot of projects out there from hydro seeding or what are they, aeration of fields. If you don't maintain something, you don't maintain your time, it doesn't last that long. So fields need a little bit of maintenance. Well, who's going to pay for that? And for years, we kind of pointed fingers at each other, and they didn't get maintained. So now we have at least a policy in place where we can address what needs to be maintained on a field and who's going to pay for it. And it would be a split cost. Yes, sir.
Bottom line is, even if the GRS is paying for it, the bottom line is, even if the GRS, which we lose control because then 3 towns are voting on it. We currently, at one time, we were paying 98% of the expenditures for the GRS, and I know that because I happen to be on the board. Currently, we're paying 84%. So it doesn't really, we give them a say, but we foot the bill. That's the bottom line.
In the back.
A quick question. The carnival is currently on some of our athletic fields. Are they going to pay into this capital reserve fund? Because I think they take quite a toll on it.
Currently, the board has not asked the Patriotic Purposes Committee for any recompense. I can tell you historically, they've been very good about picking up, and I used to hear stories about random nails and random things you'd find out there. It hasn't been the case as much. So currently, no, there isn't any standing request from the board.
Because what I heard at the school board meeting was that fields they need to be leveled out, and it was tens of thousands of dollars more than just picking up trash. So if we're going to invest that much in the fields, then would the carnival be chipping in?
Oh, so again, the Libby Field, the problem with Libby Field, if you don't know it, it has you know better than I do, 3 foot, 7 foot, I don't know. You're playing uphill. We've had that for many years. There are people who would like to level that out and put it in a retaining wall. That's a big project. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's tennis courts, there's netting, there's concern about balls, baseballs hitting traffic coming down Main Street causing problems. Do we need to put up fences, some kind of safety netting? Those are the kind of projects we're talking about. And again, we kind of drive the bus, so nobody's going to make the town spend $250,000 to put in a turf field.
Any other questions or discussions?
I just, the reason that in the GRS that Gorham pays 84% is because we have a lot more students than Randolph and Shelburne.
Any other, anyone else besides Sue? Yeah, anyone else?
I'd like to move the question.
Just a minute. Sue?
Actually, the formula for what we pay for the GRS is based on student population and evaluation without utilities. That is what the formula is based on. And the bottom line is, we are paying the freight. And these are athletic fields for the school, and we pay currently 84%. And then if the town is chipping in, whatever we decide to put into it, that we're paying 100% of it. And there are other fields in these 3 towns. Maybe we should be using fields in other townships.
Okay. Nathan, somebody over here made a motion. I have a motion made to cease debate.
Michelle seconds.
Okay, I've got 3 seconds, okay. Motion has been made and seconded to cease debate. All those in favor of ceasing debate, raise your cards. Okay. All those opposed, raise your cards. Okay, debate is ceased. All right, we're going to read the article again before we vote on it. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to amend the purpose of the town building or repair CRF to include real property such as buildings, fields, and currently owned property, and further to name the selectmen agents. This would exclude vehicles and other motorized equipment. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to 0, and 2/3 vote required. Are you ready for the vote? All those in favor, raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. I would say that's more than a 2/3 vote. The article is passed.
Mr. Moderator. I'd like to make a motion to combine Articles 30 through 39. I'll second it.
Okay. We have all kinds of seconds on this one. All right. We have a motion to combine Articles 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39. Any discussion? Seeing to be no discussion?
No. Wait.
Article 30, the project committee recommends it to be 225 and not 71 to 500.
Okay, Bruce? I would like you to move your motion so that we can vote on this one, because there's 2 recommendations. Thomas Hall?
I just second.
Yeah. Okay, Paul, I can't hear you.
Rescind it so that we can just vote on Article 30 by itself. Oh, and then go?
Then
go. I'll rescind mine.
Okay. I am assuming you're making the motion to pass Article 30. What we're going to have to do is that there's 2 recommendations here.
You gotta read it.
Right, let me read it, I'll read the recommendations, and then I'll entertain motions on that. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $271,500 to be added to the Highway Heavy Equipment Capital Reserve Fund as previously established. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $235,253.25. Tax rate impact, 0.53 cents, $271,500, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to 0. $225,000 is recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 5 to 2. So,
Moderator, I recommend the budget committee number.
Second.
I have a motion made to recommend the Budget Committee number.
Before you can even talk about it. I mean, let's follow the rules a little. I'll move the question.
No, he's moving the question with the Budget Committee's recommendation.
Which is legal.
We can discuss it.
Which is legal.
That's right, except he's moving it with their recommendation.
You can't just change what's written in the book.
Yes, you
It is, because
Sorry,
Just a minute, just a minute. Bronson.
On Article 30, the DRA said to put it in as it's written that way, so the voters can vote to recommend either the Board of Selectmen's recommended amount or the Budget Committee's recommended amount. That's why it's worded that way, so Mike's making that motion to approve the 225.
That's the Budget Committee, right?
Yep.
Well, it doesn't matter. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve the amount recommended by the budget committee of $225,000. All right? Okay, all those in favor?
Now we have to discuss it though. We have to discuss it first.
All right, questions, discussions? Mr. Magucci.
Hi, Wayne Magucci. Just a question as to what the purpose of this amount, which would total pretty close to $500,000. What is there something in mind that is needed at this time for that kind of money?
The purpose of this capital reserve fund addresses all the heavy equipment down at Public Works. So it involves a dozen different large pieces of equipment, and the future values for replacement go out, I believe, 20 years. So this allows us to buy equipment when it's worn out. But it's a big list.
And if they happen to get a deal on something, they'll have the funds.
Just a minute, Judy, so they can hear you.
Sometimes the DPW superintendent will come across deals, and if the money is available, he can take advantage of those deals.
Other questions, discussions? I'm looking up in the back because I always ignore you people. Anyone else? Okay. So, the motion is made to approve,
225.
The budget committee's recommendation.
the budget committee's recommendation, I just lost my place, of $225,000. All those in favor of approving the budget committee's recommendation, raise your cards. Okay. All those opposed? The budget committee's recommendation is.
Mr. Moderator, now I'd like to make the motion to combine Articles 31 through 39 into one vote.
Second.
I have a motion to combine Articles 31 through 39 in one vote. Any questions or discussions regarding these articles?
No, we have to.
Oh, wait a minute, I gotta vote on that one too. Sorry about this. Okay. The motion to combine the articles. Any questions on that? No? All those in favor of combining Articles 31 through 39, raise your cards. Any opposed? Seeing no opposition, we will combine Articles 31 through 39. All right, here we go. Here to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the sanitation recycling capital reserve fund as previously established. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $112,791.79. Tax rate impact, 0.7 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Majority vote required. Article 3, I'm going to read through all the articles, and if you have any questions, we'll ask for that after. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,600 to be added to the Case Hill Landfill Expendable Trust Fund as previously established. Balances as of December 31st, 2024, $15,660.42. Tax rate impact, 0.01 cent. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee of a vote of 7-0. Majority vote required. Article 33, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,500 to be added to East Island Monitoring Expendable Trust Fund as previously established. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $75,346.28. Tax rate, 0.01 cent. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3 to nothing. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7 to nothing. To see if the town, Article 34, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,725 to be added to the Medallion Opera House Capital Reserve Fund as previously established, with said funds to come from December 31st, 2024, unassigned fund balance. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $7,481.94. No amount to be raised in taxation. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to nothing. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7 to nothing. Majority vote required. Article 35, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $62,000 to be added to the assessment capital reserve fund as previously established. Balance as of December 31st, 2024, $127,612.12. Tax rate impact, 16 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to nothing. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7 to nothing. Majority vote required. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be added to the Information Technology Capital Reserve Fund as previously established. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $30,977.10. Tax rate impact, 0.05 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to nothing. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7 to nothing. Majority vote required. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $41,000 to be added to the River Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund as previously established, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $182,507.79. No amount to be raised for taxation. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to nothing. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7 to nothing. Majority vote required. Article 38, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 to be added to the Special Insurance Expendable Trust Fund as previously established. Balances of December 31st, 2024, $9,727.07. Tax impact, 0.1 cent. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to 0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7 to 0. Majority vote required. You did say Article 39.
Seems like 79.
Maybe someday.
No.
Article 39, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be added to the longevity service severance expendable trust fund as previously established. Balance as of December 31st, 2024, $16,722.04. Tax rate impact, 0.04 cents. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3 to nothing. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7. Does anyone have any questions or discussion?
I make the motion.
All right, motion.
To combine them.
Yes.
No, they have to.
We already combined that. We
It's all
combined.
done. Now we
Hey.
can discuss, we'll move the vote.
Yeah. If there's any discussion, let me know. Seeing no hands up. Anybody in the back want to speak? Okay.
Oh, there is.
There is. Motion's on the floor. Yes. Okay.
I guess we're all getting tired.
All right. The motion is made.
All seconded it.
Yep.
It's all done.
It's all done.
Discussion.
Okay. All those in favor of the articles as presented, raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. I see no opposition. Articles 31 through 39 are passed.
Mr. Moderator.
Just a minute. Let me find my bearings. Okay, Mr. Lair.
I'd like to make a motion, we combine Articles 40 through 45 into one vote.
What? Wow.
All seconded. 40 through 45.
All right. I have a motion and I believe it's seconded, to combine Articles 40, 41, 43, 42, 43, 44, and 45 into one vote. Any discussion about combining? No? Yes. What?
I just want to make sure that we were at the right stage. It's like.
All right, we're voting to combine. All those who are in favor of combining Articles 40 through 45, raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. Okay, I will try to get through this as quick as I can. Article 40, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $14,000 for the purpose of supporting clients of Chicago Valley Home Care Services who live in Gorham. Tax rate impact, 0.4 cents by petition, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,745 for the operation of Tri-County CAP Committee Action Program. Incorporated, service programs in Gorham, transportation, energy assistance, weatherization, guardianship, Head Start, homeless intervention and prevention, RSVP, service link, senior meals, Tamworth Dental Center, tax rate impact, 0.02 cents by petition, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Article 42, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000, $250 per enrolled child for the purpose of supporting the Gorham Community Learning Center in Gorham, 40 children enrolled. Tax rate impact, 0.03 cents by petition. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 for the purpose of supporting a local Special Olympics team in Chicago River Athletes. Tax rate impact, 0.01% by petition. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Article 44, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 for the purpose of supporting the Chicago Valley Chamber of Commerce marketing efforts. Tax rate impact, 0.01 by petition, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0, recommended by a Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Article 45, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 for the purpose of supporting hospice, palliative, home health, and long-term care services for the North Country Home Health and Hospice Agency to the residents of the town of Gorham. Tax rate impact, 0.01 cents by petition, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-0. Mr. Larry.
I move those articles to be affirmed as written.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made to move these articles as affirmed and committed. Before I call the vote, does anyone have any question regarding these articles? Anything at all? Seeing no hands raised, I will call for the vote. All of those of Articles 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, as is, please raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. I see only one opposition. I declare that the vote has passed. All Articles 40 through 45 are passed.
Moderator, make a motion to adjourn.
Just a minute.
No.
No. We have to pass Article 46. I need a motion for Article 46.
I'll make a motion to pass over for Article 46, and we'll be adjourned.
I second.
I have an article to pass Article 46 and then adjourn. Yeah, I have to ask about Article 47 too. So we can pass 46. We have a motion made to approve that. All those in favor of Article 46?
Passing over.
Passing over.
Passing.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Any opposed? Not yet. Article 47.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have to pass Article 47 first. Do I have a motion to pass Article 47?
Get this over with.
All right, all those in favor of passing Article 47, raise your cards. And now I will entertain your motion.
I second.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your cards. I want to thank you all. You did good work tonight.